many of our listeners will not be campaigners, or may not describe themselves as activists, but they are not only change makers, but actually extremely important and critical to the whole process of making the world a better place. And so for those of us who are embedded in the more obvious parts of a system, for example, those who may work inside government or for large nonprofits or corporations. So these are formal structures within our systems. And they likely have to work differently. They probably have to tread water for longer than we have to do. They have to, understand and sense how change happens within a large, formal, perhaps bureaucratic structure, as opposed to the kind of versatility that and flexibility that we may have if we're not working inside. So in that regard, do you have any reflections or thoughts? Because I know your own experience has led you into contact with change makers of every persuasion. Do you have any advice for those of us who are embedded in the more formal parts of our system to protect our spirits and maintain our humanity?
I do. I have some ill-formed or partially formed thoughts about that, I think. Again, last night being in this celebratory room with people from government and First Nations leaders and environmentalists and community leaders who've been working for 20 years on change from all different sides of the system to implement these Great Bear Rainforest agreements. I was struck by how many people have spent the better part of 20 years of their lives from a time where they may have felt completely constrained by the institutions they were working in, to a point now where it's absolutely clear that if they hadn't stuck with it within the institutions they were in, this kind of change could never have been enshrined with the original kind of spirit and intent. So it's interesting. I do feel like, often there's this sort of sexy change maker idea, but really anyone who's been involved over the long haul in something that's actually embedded change knows that, there's so many important roles to play no matter where people are in the system. I mean, I would say more to the point, there are lots of people who are in such institutions and don't even know where to begin or where to get traction, or it feels like things just reproduce themselves. And so I think there again that there is such a huge value of sourcing from what has heart and meaning and being creative in seeing what possibilities there are. Even I've noticed my own tendency to kind of edit out possibility and just, especially if I'm stressed out or carrying so many different things, but just the way that we kind of foreclose options before we've actually even entertained them. So I find that, doing some of the work to support our inner lives and contemplation and really tapping into the values that are central to our work and a kind of commitment to really see those as primary as opposed to seeing the system we're embedded within or institution as primary creates opportunities. So, I remember doing my own thought experiment. I was in despair at being stuck in a particular organizational structure, and somebody said, what would it be like if you just acted as if you didn't have those limitations? And of course, I still had many of the limitations, but I realized how many more I had kind of embedded in myself that weren't real. And so I think that can translate into everyday relationship changes. It can translate into being able to speak to core and underlying values in a meeting space where decisions are being made that are important, and can really shift directions and remind people of what's important. And it also has to do with those people who are partly tasked with looking outside of the institution around trends and being responsive to better respond to social and environmental opportunities as they come, because organizations have a way of hunkering down when external threats appear, but those can also be felt to be incredible opportunities that can meet the goals of the organization as well. So I think just it's a lot around people's self-identity and how and who they want to be in their role. That is what really has, I've observed is what makes, outstanding civil servants or outstanding corporate leaders, is those who are actually willing to follow their own deep beliefs and seize opportunities to do what they feel is right.